The anime begins with Kanan, the daughter of Beelzebub, the archdevil of gluttony, who had suddenly grown bored of the food in the demon world. Yearning for something new, she asks her father for permission to visit the human world, where she can feast on what she considers the most exquisite delicacy, human souls. Beelzebub agrees, but warns her to be careful of the angels she might encounter. Kanan, however, simply smiles and reassures him that everything will be fine. After arriving in the human world, Kanan enrolls at Huhan Academy. With her striking beauty and sharp intellect, she effortlessly wins over both students and teachers, eventually rising to become the head of the disciplinary committee. And now, as she looks over the academy, Kanan can't help but smile, because from now on, this place will be her ranch, and everyone in it will be her livestock. Then one day, while Kanan observing the students from the window, she suddenly got hungry. Even though she wanted to wait a little longer for their souls to become more mature, she thought it wouldn't hurt to eat just one. Just then, she noticed a student with a rare soul, brimming with vitality, which made her drool. Unable to wait any longer, she used her magic to lure him into a classroom alone with her. There, she revealed her demon form and told him that she was going to devour him and enjoy his taste raw. This confused the boy, and he looked at her, thinking she must be cosplaying as a demon, and completely misunderstood her, assuming she meant a different kind of devour. So, he quickly knelt down and thanked her, shocking Kanan, saying it would be his honor, as it had always been his dream to be devoured by a devilish girl like her. With that, he then started to undress in front of her, making Kanan blush as she realized he had misunderstood her. Still, she thought this was the perfect chance, since she could simply steal his soul while going along with it. But there was one problem. She was a complete virgin. Wanting to get out of the situation, she nervously asked him if this wasn't something that should only be done by two people who loved each other. But the boy reassured her not to worry, saying he had already fallen in love with her the moment he saw her, and that he believed she had called him here because she felt the same way. Hearing the word love made Kanan freeze for a moment, as she had never fallen in love with anyone before, let alone even held hands, despite being several thousand years old. And now, as she looked at the boy's body more carefully, she realized he might just be her type. Looking at her flustered face, the guy then apologized, thinking it must have been too much. So, he suggested that they start by dating first, which Kanan nervously agreed to, only to regret it later, as she asked herself what kind of crazy contract she had just made. By the way, the guy's name is Yuji, who is also a complete virgin. Later, he told his friend Masurao about it, who found it hard to believe that someone like him could find a girlfriend. Curious, she asked him how far they had gone, and whether they had called each other by their first names yet. This surprised Yuji, making him realize they hadn't done that. So, he decided to confront Kanan afterward, asking her to call him by his first name from now on, since they were now dating. This confused Kanan, as she didn't understand why he was so worked up over something as simple as a name, though she found it adorable. However, just as she was about to call his first name, she suddenly became embarrassed and couldn't get a single word out. Still not wanting Yuji to notice, she quickly made an excuse. If he wanted her to call him that so badly, then he had to call her by her first name first. Yuji agreed and said it without hesitation, making her heart race like crazy. She wondered how he could say it so casually. Seeing her reaction, Yuji then got closer to her, while continuing to call her by her first name, and demanded that she call his name back, which only made her even more flustered. Unable to take it any longer, Kanan slapped him hard and quickly ran away. But just as she was about to leave the room, she gathered her courage and managed to call him by his first name, making him really happy. Later, Kanan begins patrolling around the school, cracking down on student relationships. After all, she wants their souls to remain pure and delicious. Just then, Yuji sneaks up behind her and asks why she always runs away from him, even though they are now lovers. This leaves Kanan speechless, unsure of how to respond. Noticing this, Yuji steps closer and tells her that he actually came to ask where they should go to make their first time truly unforgettable. The question catches Kanan completely off guard. She thinks about how perverted he must be to bring that up so soon. Shouldn't that kind of thing only happen after marriage? Still, she doesn't want him to see her flustered, so she pretends to stay calm and asks what location he has in mind. Yuji thinks for a moment and suggests the park. Shocked, Kanan immediately rejects the idea, calling him a pervert and saying it would be too embarrassing if anyone saw them. Understanding her reaction, Yuji apologizes and suggests a hot spring trip instead, which Kanan rejects him again, calling him a dummy and saying their first time should be somewhere private, like a bedroom or something. Only then does she realize that Yuji was actually talking about where their first date should be. Embarrassed by the misunderstanding, Kanan quickly runs away. After the school ends, Yuji comes to meet Kanan again and asks her to walk home with him. Kanan agrees, thinking this time she will finally put him in his place. However, little does she know, it is harder than she expected. Just walking side by side with him makes her heart race non-stop. Seeing this, Yuji becomes confused and doesn't know what is going on, so he offers his hand, suggesting they should stay even closer. This makes Kanan blush even more because, according to what she knows, holding hands might somehow lead to pregnancy. Still, she doesn't want to refuse, afraid he might think she's inexperienced. So, she comes up with another idea. She decides to tie his hand and hold the leash, thinking it's basically the same as holding hand. Yuji agrees and even enjoys it. He misunderstands her, believing she wants to keep him by her side so badly that she'd go this far to control him. That only annoys Kanan more, since that wasn't her intention at all. Embarrassed, she suddenly runs off, forgetting that she's still holding the leash, and ends up dragging Yuji along with her. He then gets up and notices that they are now at the park, so he tells her there's something he's always wanted to do with her. This immediately reminds Kanan of their earlier conversation at school, causing her to misunderstand again. She worries that they're really about to do that in the park. However, to her slight disappointment, Yuji simply takes her to buy croquettes. It turns out he had always wanted to eat street snacks like this with his girlfriend. Looking at the snack, Kanan asks if there's any sauce, which makes Yuji sigh in frustration. He tells her to just eat it as it is, reassuring her that the croquettes from this shop are top tier. He explains that he has tried many places, but none are as delicious as this one. Hearing this, Kanan can't help but laugh, surprised to see this side of him, and finding it surprisingly cute. Trusting his words, she takes a bite, and is shocked at how good it actually tastes. As she eats, she notices Yuji staring at her. Curious, she asks what he's looking at. Yuji then softly replies in a casual voice that he can't help it as she just looks so cute while eating, making her blush once again. A few days later, Kanan's father began to worry about her, so he asked Ami, Kanan's most devoted maid, to check on her, and she gladly agreed. Meanwhile, in the human world, Kanan had just woken up and was getting ready for school. Since coming here, she had been doing her best to adapt to human life to avoid suspicion, especially from the fake family she had brainwashed into believing she was their eldest daughter. However, there was one problem. She had to regularly reapply the brainwashing. Otherwise, they would slowly come back to their senses. Then, as Kanan stepped out of the house, she was surprised to see Yuji waiting outside to walk to school with her. She asked him how he even knew where she lived. With a smile, Yuji explained that he had gotten the address from their homeroom teacher, who already knew about their relationship. This left Kanan speechless. Still, she didn't want to be seen walking with him, so she suddenly ran off, afraid that someone from their school might see them together, only to quickly regret it as she became exhausted almost immediately, having forgotten how out of shape she was. Yuji quickly caught up to her and handed her a bottle of water when he saw how exhausted she was. Although she didn't want to admit it, she took the water anyway. But just as she was about to drink it, Yuji told her to leave some for him. This made Kanan panic, thinking he was trying to get an indirect kiss from her. So she quickly drank the entire bottle and told him to know his place, which only left him confused. Later, on their way, they ran into Kanan's maid. She was happy to see Kanan, but before she could properly introduce herself, Kanan quickly dragged her away to a private room and demanded to know why she was there. Ami cheerfully replied that she had come to serve her, though Kanan didn't believe her at all. Yuji followed them and asked who she was, prompting Kanan to sigh and explain that Ami was her family's maid and had been her personal caretaker since childhood. She then warned Yuji to stay away from Ami, saying she was dangerous. Apparently, Ami was a predatory succubus who had no issue with cheating, adultery, or illicit affairs. So, Kanan was certain Yuji would be an easy target for her. Sure enough, the moment Ami glanced at Yuji and sensed his rare soul, she immediately pinned him down, ready to get a taste of him right then and there. But Kanan stopped her just in time, firmly stating that he was off limits. After all, he was her boyfriend? This completely caught Ami off guard. She couldn't believe that Kanan, a 1,000-year-old virgin, actually had a boyfriend, especially a human. Now curious, she immediately started pressing Kanan for details, wanting to know just how far their relationship had gone. Flustered, Kanan nervously listed everything they had done so far, like eating croquettes in the park and calling each other by their first name. Hearing this, Ami froze, unable to believe what she had just heard. She wondered if Kanan was a little kid or something, and scolded her for making things so complicated, saying she should just make a move already. Then, leaning closer to Yuji, Ami teased that if Kanan took too long, she might just take him for herself instead. But to everyone's surprise, Yuji immediately rejected her, saying that Kanan was the only girl for him. This made Kanan incredibly happy. Still, Ami didn't seem to care, and casually said she wouldn't mind sharing. This left Yuji wondering if he had suddenly become popular, only for Kanan to get angry and tell him to get away from her. Then later, while patrolling the school, Kanan was shocked to see most of the students lying on the floor, completely exhausted. Panicking, she rushed to find Ami, only to discover her just about to kiss her teacher. Embarrassed, the teacher quickly ran away. After that, Kanan scolded Ami for trying to steal her prey. To Kanan, the academy was like her personal soul farm. She carefully looked after the students so they could grow healthy and develop pure souls. Now, Ami had almost ruined all of that, before Kanan had even gotten the chance to enjoy any of it herself. Ami let out a sigh and said that was what Kanan got for dragging her feet. This only made Kanan angrier, as she explained that she had standards, unlike Ami. She pointed out that Ami would go after anyone, old men, overweight guys, girls, even delinquents. No one was off limits to her. Hearing this, Ami apologized, saying it was because everyone had their own charm. This made Kanan pause and realize that Ami always focused on the good in people. Even back in the demon world, Ami had been careless and sloppy, yet for some reason, she was always strangely popular. Kanan then took back her words and apologized for misjudging her, admitting that Ami did have standards of her own. However, she still warned her not to make any moves on her students again, as it is a hassle to keep erasing their memories. And Ami agreed. Kanan then grew curious and asked Ami if she found Yuji attractive. Ami didn't answer and simply said it was a secret. This made Kanan uneasy, worrying that Yuji might fall for Ami's charms when she wasn't around. Because of that, she decided to stick close to him all day. She made up an excuse, asking him to help her keep an eye out for students causing trouble around the school. However, she quickly began to regret it. For some reason, Yuji kept bumping into different female students and accidentally charming them. As if that wasn't enough, he suddenly received a message from his friend, Masurao, asking him to stop by her place because she had made too much food. This only made Kanan even more upset, and she immediately told him not to go. After school ended, Kanan was still angry at Yuji. This time, though, she swallowed her pride and told him to focus only on her. This caught Yuji off guard, but he found her jealousy cute and gently patted her on the head, making her blush. Meanwhile, Ami watched them from afar, still finding it hard to believe that Kanan had fallen in love with a human. She couldn't help but wonder what would happen if Kanan's father found out. Even so, seeing how happy Kanan looked made Ami quietly root for her. With that, Ami glanced at a nearby teacher and smirked, saying she'd go have some fun of her own. If you've come this far, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thanks.